So the reason you guys are here today, or this evening, standing room only, and before we get started, guys, there are a lot of chairs up front. So I know you guys, some of you guys are standing in the back. Raise your hand if you have an empty seat next to you. Look at all the empty seats. There's plenty of empty seats. Come on up here and get a seat. Mike, Dan, there's plenty of empty seats all the way up here in the front. You can let me spit on you a little bit. Thank you guys for doing that. You put your hands down. So the reason you're here tonight is not to hear me, spout off about our sponsors that we love dearly, but we have 3 absolute rock star real estate investors that are right here in Birmingham doing a lot of volume when it comes to fix and flip. Just curious, by show of hands, who is currently flipping houses right now? Okay, good. That's awesome. Okay, put your hands down. Who wants to flip houses really badly and has not gotten started yet? That's it? Raise your hand. Be honest. Okay. You guys, for the ones that just raised your hands, and probably for the ones that raised your hands first, the first group, you're going to want to pay specific attention to these guys. They all do a specific niche, which I think is important that they do a specific niche, and they all do it a little bit differently, but they're all super successful. So we're going to talk about tonight Shelby County. Anybody live or invest in Shelby County? Raise your hand. Awesome. We've got a lot of Shelby County people here. Jefferson County. Anybody live and or invest in Jefferson County, doing some fix and flips in Jefferson County? About half the room. How about St. Clair County? Any St. Clair County people out there? Raise your hands. You got a couple? All right, good. Joe, you got more competition than you thought. So without further ado, I want to make the first introduction. I want to introduce Bruce Glenn to you guys. I met Bruce years and years and years ago, obviously through another organization that shall remain nameless. But I met Bruce a long time ago. Thank you for the couple chuckles. And the thing that resonates most with me when it comes to Bruce is how big of a heart he has and how generous he is. And to be honest, you're going to kind of see that's going to be true with all 3 of these guys. And that's why I believe that the best way to be successful at this business is to give way more than you receive. I believe in being 51% of every relationship. I'm up here really today to try to give as much as I can to you guys. Bruce epitomizes that. Bruce, guys, stand up on your feet and welcome to the front, Mr. Bruce Glenn. All right. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate that.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Brian. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay. I'm kind of new to this, so bear with me if I kind of struggle, especially with all the technology. Anyhow, first off, I want to give a shout out, though, to Brian, because what he's put together here, Birmingham's a big enough market that we really needed a good investment group, and we'll get into it, but we have one now. And Brian has really worked hard to put this together. So if you're new, you're in the right place. I mean, there's a lot of knowledge in this room. So I just want to thank you again, Brian, for all that you do. Appreciate it. All right, first thing I'm going to do is talk a little bit about myself, spend a few minutes about myself, and then I'm going to go into one of the flips that I did down in Alabaster, and then talk a little bit about the market. So I'm going to try to keep this to 15 minutes, and Brian will be pushing me off the stage here real quick if I don't get it. So I'm going to try to move through fast. I'm not going to take questions, but I'm going to be here all night, so if you have specific questions afterwards, please come up and find me, and I'll talk forever. So I've been a real estate appraiser, residential real estate appraiser for 28 years here in Birmingham. I do mainly Jefferson and Shelby County, but I do some of St. Clair and some of Bibb County. And what I do is, one of the things that appraising has helped me so much with, I've really learned the market tremendously. A lot of house flippers will say maybe no Crestwood, maybe no Homewood, maybe no a certain area. The benefits that I've had being an appraiser for so long is I've learned little pockets all over Birmingham. I mean, I've flipped, when people look at it, I'd say, well, you flipped in Pleasant Grove, you flipped in Warrior, I flipped in, Montevallo. I flipped everywhere. So, because I can find stuff everywhere, and I know, now I wouldn't advise if you're new, starting out, that's not what I would advise. If you know a neighborhood, that's where I would stay. Where you know is what you do. I just happen to, from appraising, know a lot of areas. I also have my real estate license. I got my real estate license about 8 years ago, and I'm not I'm not looking for listings. I'm not looking to go show houses. I have my real estate license for myself. That's for my investing. You know, I can relate to plenty of realtors, but that's not what I do it for. But it's a great tool in my toolbox for coming up for investing. I've been flipping houses for over 30 years. I bought my first fourplex in Denver, Colorado in 1986. And I had a partner, and she funded the deal, and I did all the rehab work. And we bought this thing for like $90,000, and I did the rehab work, and it was worth $140 or $150 when I was done. I was like, I'm hooked. I mean, this was not that much work. I'm like, this was pretty cool. So from that point on, I've been hooked on real estate. I love flipping houses. So I've done that, like I say, for over 30 years. I've done probably, 75 to 100 houses, maybe 100 houses over my lifetime. So not, that's what Matthew does in a couple months, but I've done that over my lifetime. But anyhow, but I just do a few a year. This year, I'm probably going to have my best year ever. Friday, we closed on our 7th house this year, and we've got our 8th one under contract that will be closing in a couple weeks. So I could do 10 or 12 houses this year, which is a record for me, because my appraising, I work 60, 70 hours of work doing real estate appraising. I do 30 to 40 appraisals a month, and that keeps me swamped. But the reason I mention this is you don't have to quit your day job. I mean, I've done this for 30 years, kept a full-time job and flipped that many houses. It's possible. It's really doable. You gotta know what you're doing. You gotta just be a little organized and be with people like this so we can learn. So what I'm going to do is a little self-promotion here, if I could. I was going to ask people if you could grab your phone and just send me a friend request. Because what I want to do is I want to be friends with everybody in here. I also have 2 Facebook pages, Innovative Renovations and Innovative Solutions. Now, Innovative Renovations is my page that I have a lot of photo albums on there, before and after pictures, that type of thing. And I just want to connect. The more that we all connect together, the better off it is for everybody. So now I have Innovative Solutions. That might not even show up because I just started it a couple days ago, so I'm not sure if that'll pull up. That's kind of going to be my arm that buys houses. Supposedly, I'm the solution to people's problems, so I buy their house. That's what that is. But Innovative Renovations has got a lot of stuff on it, and I'd love to be, friends with you on that. And if you have a business page, send me a request. I mean, I get requests all the time. Send me a request, and I can like your business page. So just do that, and it'll help all of us out. While you're doing that, my wife had told me, I did this because I don't speak very often, so I did this in front of my wife, and she said, oh, it sounded great. She said, but you didn't say anything personal. You didn't say anything about yourself. People want to hear it. So just a couple things. The reason I do, the big thing with the house flipping, I make a decent living with appraising, but my house flipping lets me do all the fun stuff. I went to New York last year with my son and just had a ball. Broadway every night, did all this stuff. I've got a trip planned to Disney World coming up in December. I'm taking the kids, the grandkids. I just told them just get the time off because I'm going. We're taking the whole crew. That's what it's about. I mean, I want the life experiences. So that's what really the house flipping has done for me. It's given me those life experiences. So, I mean, I do stuff. I used to race motorcycles, road race motorcycles. I mean, crazy speeds and stuff. I mean, I've just been able to do a lot of different things. It's been a lot of fun. So that's what the house flipping business has done for me. So what I'm going to do is move on to a flip that we did in Alabaster. This house, 304 Fran Drive in Alabaster. And actually, when I walked in and I saw Todd Murphy, I remembered I bought this house from Todd Murphy. So if you guys don't know the home investors guys, you need to get to know them. You need to get to know wholesalers because that's where we buy a lot of our houses. This was a house in Alabaster that I did, before and after shots. The kitchen, everything was typical, was run down. It's I'd say a lower end house, medium price house where I didn't replace the cabinets. We painted them, put granite counters in, ceramic tiles, ceramic floors, stainless appliances, kind of did the whole thing. Opened it up a little bit, put new hardwoods throughout. Bathrooms, typically I've got the bathrooms go back to the studs and do that. So that's pretty much kind of what it is. So what I did on here, I wanted to just put some numbers out. We bought this thing for $63,750 down in Alabaster. We put in $37,500 in renovation costs. Now every house I do, I keep an Excel spreadsheet, and every penny I put on that Excel spreadsheet. So that $37,500 has everything. That's got insurance, that's got utilities, that's got every bit of renovation we did. So that I want to know my numbers, exactly what I'm in for. So what we're doing is, the numbers are a little bit different. Okay, that was my close. We went to closing. We sold this thing for $131. With the 63 and the 37, we had $101,000 in it, basically. So if I had $101,000, after I take my closing out of there, out of the $131 sales price, $18,000 was what our profit on that project. Now, that's not the $150,000 profit that you see on TV shows all the time. I know that. But $18,000, it was only a $100,000 investment. That's $18,000 in less than 6 months, which is 18% on your money. I'll do this all day long. I'll do little ones. I don't have to be on TV and show that I can make $200,000. This is good. This works. And there are neighborhoods all over Jefferson, Shelby County that you could do stuff like this, little ones. And I say start with something smaller. Don't necessarily. I do a lot of stuff in Vestavia, Hoover, and all that, and that's fine. But you can do very successful with smaller ones. So that's pretty much on that. I don't have to tell you we're in a hot market. It's a crazy market. I mean, I've been appraising for almost 30 years, and this is one of the hottest markets I've seen since I've been. The things that tell you it's a hot market: fewer days on market. Just in my flips alone, in the 7 flips or 6 flips I've done this year, I don't think I've had one go past 2 weeks that I wasn't under contract. And a lot of them, I do an open house my first weekend. And we usually have a full price offer. I mean, that's just how crazy it's been, full price or higher. I've had a number that are over full price, multiple offers. All these things tell you it's a hot market. I mean, it's a crazy market. And even, I just did one recently. I got a call from one of my guys. We were about 6 weeks into a 12-week renovation. And I get a call, and the guy says, one of my guys at the house says, hey, there's a woman here that really likes the house. She's interested. Well, it's torn up. I mean, we just got it shredded. We haven't even really started rebuilding it hardly, so it was a mess. But she's driving around trying to find a house for her daughter. So I get on the phone with her and talk to her. She wants to meet me. She likes it so much, and I told her roughly what I was going to look for, and she made me a very good offer, and we didn't have to deal with real estate agents. I didn't have any commissions. And so I sold this thing 6 weeks before we even finished. I mean, so if people are driving around, knocking on doors on rehabs, it's a hot market. I mean, it's crazy. So now the only thing on the flip side, being an appraiser, I get calls all the time from realtors, investors that say, man, the appraiser really messed me up. He really cut me on this, And so most appraisers are trying, all right? But when you're in a market where the values keep going up, we don't have current comps to justify some of the high sales prices. So it can be difficult on appraisers. I tell people, there's been twice in the last 12 months that I couldn't make one work, and there was just no way I could make it. I know what underwriting, I know what the banks look for, and I couldn't do it. There was just no way. But trust me, I want it to work, because if it doesn't work, I get phone calls from both agents, I get phone calls from the lender, I get phone calls from the seller, I get phone calls, and they're not even supposed to have my information. And they're calling me, and it's like, it's not fun. I mean, that's not something that I want to go through. So I try real hard to make things work. So if you ever have questions, you can talk to the appraisers a lot of times, or send them information, or try to get a realtor to get you some more comps to try. But sometimes it's just very difficult. That's pretty much on the hot market. There's one thing that I did, I pulled some statistics on Shelby County. And what I did for the last 12 years, I pulled up all of Shelby County. These are single-family homes. There was almost 4,500 sales in 2006 with an average sales price of about $250,000. So that was kind of at the peak before everything fell apart. What happened was, if you see, about 2011, we got down to the average price being $211,000. It dropped from $250,000 to $211,000. Now, what I will say, that $211,000 is probably a more realistic value of what the house is worth. The price before 2006, it was just going up really unrealistically high. So that $250,000 in the beginning was probably too high a price. So anyhow, we got down to 2011, and now it's just been a nice steady increase from 2011, a few percent, 2, 3, 4% a year. Not anything drastic, but you get down to 2016, 2017. That's not too bad. It's about 4% from there. But what I did, because I know that it's been crazy this last little bit. So July, I went and saw what the average sales price is in July in Shelby County, $282,000. That, from $260 in 2017, is over 8% increase. That's a lot. And in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, that's not sustainable. I mean, you can, for a period, we can go up at those kind of rates, but you really can't keep going at that rate. At some point, there's got to be, whether it's a correction or just a slowing, there's going to be a change. I mean, it just can't, because people's incomes are here and they're not moving that much, and prices are going up like this. People just can't afford the houses at some point. So I think there will be a correction. I don't think it'll be anything like 2007, 2008, because the lending practices are totally different, but I do think we're going to see some kind of correction. So I think that is about, did I make it in 15 minutes? Thank you, Gregory. All right, thank you.
Bruce, do a good job? So I forgot to say this. I meant to say this a second ago. Unfortunately, just because I want to get you guys out on time, I'm really conscious of time. If we start asking questions, like we could literally ask Bruce questions for an hour. You can go listen to a podcast episode I did with Bruce, so you can go check that out. Or Bruce will be around, right? So if you have a specific question for him. So real quick, I want to introduce the man who needs no introduction. I'm not even going to introduce him. Guys, stand up on your feet and welcome Matthew Gregory.
I am not a public speaker. I'm a house flipper. I have to say, Bruce is a great friend, always helpful. Appraisal issues, he's always here to help me. Brian, thanks for this meeting. So, let's. Which button is it, man?
It's the right here.
Okay, gotcha.
He is a handsome house.
Yes, not a great speaker. My name is Matthew. This is my family. I got 3 kids and a lovely wife. Been married 22 years. Grew up in Birmingham, born and raised. And of course, I'm like Bruce, I love flipping houses. Gregory Dream Homes, sorry guys. Gregory Dream Homes is my business. Bought my first flip in 1998. I've been doing it 20 years. 42 years old now. Started kind of young. My wife and I were weekend warriors. We worked every night on the house flipping. On our first house, we tore up old carpet, cleaned up the yard, painted the rooms. And then I realized I really liked doing it. It was a lot of fun. Fire was ignited. I started to get excited about it, and I started learning all I could in real estate. I have a great team. My wife, Ross, helps me. Joe, where's Joe at? Joe is in the back right there. Raise your hand, Joe. Joe is a great partner in this. I wish I could take all the credit, but he does a great job. He'll probably flip 25 houses this year with me. And then Lauren, I do a few houses with her also. She's not here tonight, I don't think. Lauren. So I have flipped about 600 houses, maybe a little bit more at this point in Birmingham area. Not big on rentals. I just like the flipping part of it. Am I doing okay, Brian? You're doing great. It's making me nervous over there. Okay, so I told Brian that I would add a few house flips that I have done recently. So this is a house in Vestavia that I got from a realtor off market, and bought it, I think, around January or February, and it was a big project. We probably put 150 grand, 160 grand in rehab. Needed like waterproofing, all new hardwood flooring, LVLs, moved some walls around. We did some wiring upgrades, plumbing upgrades, a roof, landscaping, all new custom kitchen and bathrooms. Pretty big project. And it sold actually off market probably a month into the rehab. for $650, and it was a real good one. And this is also a good one. So maybe more realistic. This is a house in Crestwood that I bought recently. It was brought to me off-market deal. 125 was purchase price. Rewired the house, replumbed it, new heat and air, new roof. Probably put, I wish I had all these numbers, probably put about 60 grand in this one. And it sold for $260. And obviously, you usually have to pay closing costs and realtor fees, things like that, right? It's a great market. Crestwood's a great area. I've done quite a few in the Avondale-Crestwood area, Forest Park. This is another one I did this year. This house was a booger because the agent had it on the market for 400 grand, and I threw in a $250,000 offer and stayed there, and I just kept renewing my offer every few weeks. And after about 3 or 4 months, it was finally accepted. This house had an indoor pool, so I took the pool out and I made a large master suite, and it really turned out really nice. And I probably put 180 in the house in rehab, so turned out pretty nice. So currently, this is how my business kind of increased in the recent years. But for many years, you know, I would do that one house a month, 12 a year. And then in 06, 07, I started increasing, and then the market tanked, right? And then, so backed it back down and started doing probably 25, 30 flips in 2012 and 13. And I stayed there for a little while. And then in 2015, we started amping it up. Met Joe and a few other people. And last year I did 65 flips, about 16 million in retail sales, right? And then this year I'm hoping to do 85 flips and about 20 million in retail sales. So that's it. Difference in 17, 18. I think so it's a hot market, but it's still a tough market. I think that with all you guys, I'm having to compete with you guys. So, you know, it's tough. It's harder to find houses. On the increase, I think the difference on the increase in how I've increased in the past year in rehabs is building a bigger team. I think that's important. And maybe on the value, on the retail sales, the price increase of these properties are just climbing, right? So I think that's helped a lot. Is there more? Oh, yes. Okay, good point. Okay, so Brian asked me to mention a few things. What I've noticed lately with flipping. I believe the margins are smaller on most deals because more people are buying them. And I think the biggest thing on the margins is the rehab costs have increased. I guess because so many people are like all your subs are busier, I think the prices have increased. Even the prices at Lowe's, Home Depot, material has increased. Heating and air has increased. Everything across the board is higher. And I think the rehab time frame is longer because so many people are busy, the inspections take longer. You know, I think each rehab time frame is longer right now, which kind of hurts you also, holding costs and things like that. And flips go under contract quickly if priced right. I think you need to price your flips reasonably, because anytime I overprice it, I usually, you know, might not. You'll either have appraisal issues or your house might not move real fast. And that's it. Sorry guys, a lot of
awesome job. Thank you, Agnes. Appreciate it. I was just like pulling teeth to get this guy to come talk about anything. You're this way? I tried to get him on my podcast. It probably took a year. This podcast has been out for going on 2 years now. It took about a full year to get him on the show, and then he wouldn't even do it on his own. He had to have someone in there with him, so he wasn't as nervous. So, Matthew, but we're very appreciative that you got up in front of everybody and told us what you're up to, guys. So, from a man who needs no introduction to a man who does need an introduction. I do want to introduce a very good friend of mine, and most of you guys know Joe. I met Joe a long time ago as well. Even when I first became a realtor, I hung my license with him at Blue House Realty, and just an unbelievably nice guy. He will do anything in the world for all these guys will, but he'll do anything in the world for you. We teach classes together. We're in masterminds together. We do a lot of real estate together. And Joe, I'm honored to call you a friend. Please welcome, stand up on your feet
all right.
For the last time, and welcome Joe Turney.
The best way to get a standing ovation is to ask for it, right? Ahead of time. So even if I don't do anything else, somebody asks how to go, say, I got a standing ovation. All right, so yeah, you guys, Brian, I talked to Brian about what are we going to talk about here, and we talked about market updates. We're going to do some examples and stuff. But I said, my theme and my whole teaching is all about creating your life first, right? And so I said, well, everybody already knows that because I've already said it to everyone in the room. And Brian reminded me, he said, well, half the room's probably going to be new tonight. And that was a reminder to me that a lot of you guys really don't know the whole story. So I wanted to tell this story just a little bit. So I come from corporate America, software development, writing code in dark rooms and corners, writing code in the middle of the night for years and years and years. And it's just not a fun lifestyle. You get sunburned by going to your car in the morning, coming out. So, Brian, these are out of order. Did something change?
Leave it right there. Nope, go back.
Okay.
Everybody wants to see the picture.
Okay, well, I was going to, those are later. Right? Brian changed my slides. Anyway.
I had it pretty in.
I had to introduce this before we do pictures. It's got to have meaning. All right, so here we go. So corporate America, 80 hours a week. I realized my son's getting his driver's license. My oldest son is graduating high school. Everything I've been promising them their whole life, I still hadn't done it yet. And I just had one of those moments where, I'm just not going to do it anymore. I'm not going to trade my life. I went to breaking point. I went to the beach with the family, first vacation I had in years. And I spent the entire vacation in the hotel room on the laptop, on the cell phone, while they were out playing at the beach. And that was the time I said, I'm not going to do it anymore. So I went and found, I wanted a free lifestyle. I wanted a lifestyle where, number one, there's no alarm clocks. No alarm clocks are allowed in our house. We don't get up, we get up when we get up. I don't want anybody to say I don't have to be anywhere at any time. I want to be able to go and do what I want to do. But I also want money, to go do those things, because you can either have time or money normally, right? People who have a lot of free time are normally broke, and vice versa. So I went looking for that lifestyle, and I found it. I've tried, this is my 6th career, I think. So I finally found real estate, and I found a friend of mine who was doing real estate, and he said, well, you got to have money to get started. So I had a negative net worth. You guys know what that is? Like if you do a self net worth sheet, like Robert Kiyosaki teaches, and you add up all your what you owe, and what you have, and it was a negative number at the bottom. That's where I started at, 2013. Wasn't that far long ago? My friend said, well, to get the best deals on houses, you got to pay cash. I said, and this is how naive I was. I didn't know you could borrow money to do this. So I said, I don't have any cash. So I went and took another full-time job. I worked from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. at one company, and from 4 p.m. to midnight at another company. I did it for over a year, like almost a year and a half. And I got 50 grand saved up. That's what I was willing to do for my freedom. It's a lot easier now with this kind of teaching. I was 2 years into this before I even met another person doing it. I didn't know there was another person doing it. So since 2013, I've done about 60 flips. I've kept a lot of them as rentals. But here's what I want to, okay, I started with 50 grand. I've added 25 rental houses that pay all of my bills, and I still have the 50 grand in my savings account. That's pretty magic to me. That's the kind of stuff you want to learn about, right? So I just recycle the money, spend it, get it back, spend it, get it back, spend it, get it back. And that's what we'll teach a little bit in our 3-day conference coming up. But now currently we do 4 to 5 projects at a time, roughly. I don't do anything like you guys are doing, and I'll tell you why. It crimps my lifestyle. Right? After our last mastermind event, I got a little inspired because it was a great meeting. I went out and I doubled the size of my business in 30 days. And suddenly I wasn't happy anymore. I was like, my phone's ringing, I'm talking to people every day. I'm having to get up early because people wanted to meet people at like 10 a.m. So I rolled that back. I cut that out. Now I'm doing like 3 or 4 at a time. But here's the thing. It only took me a year from the time I started with my 50 grand. A year later, I quit my job. And some people say, you know, if I had money, I would just keep working. But not me. I made a list. All of you people can kiss my whatever. I'm leaving. You know, I danced out the door. So. And you know what? It's been 2013. How long has it been? 5 years? Those people still call me asking for computer help. I always put them on speakerphone. I say, "What did you say?" I said, "What's a laptop? I don't have a laptop anymore." So lifestyle is first. That was all. This is when the pictures are supposed to show up. So yeah, now we go back. So yeah, so there's pictures. This is 2018. This is, you create your life first, you know, live first and then fit your work into it somehow. But don't do the other way around. It's too short. You know, I'm 50. So, you know, in the game of life, I'm at halftime. You know, you're halftime. You've lost your first 2 quarters. You're behind in the game. When are you going to start playing, right? You don't get a redo. There is no, you know, there's a rock song that says, life is an hourglass glued to the table. You know, it sticks in my head. You know, you got to get busy. There's not enough time. So are you willing to do 80 hours a week with 2 full-time jobs to get out of where you're at? I was. And if you're not, then you probably aren't going to be willing to do what it takes to do this either. So, I did want to mention this. I have a little note here about mentoring. I actually was honored. I have a personal mentor of mine who really doesn't even know he's a mentor to me. Mr. Lovejoy, right here, Lyman Lovejoy. You know, it's possible for someone to be a mentor to you, but I've never asked him a real estate question. And the reason he's a mentor to me is I watch what they do and I learn from what they do. I don't have to ask him. I can just watch what they're doing. I can go do that. So he's been a mentor for me for years and he doesn't even know it. But we rode together tonight to come down here, and I thought that was an honor for me. That, you know, I've always wanted to work with Mr. Lovejoy, and he's riding with me down here. So that's why, for you guys, I want to do that for you, even though I don't get to talk to each one of you one-on-one. That's why I'll go to Alaska in the summer and Key West in the winter and sleep till 10 o'clock just to inspire you guys. You know, I'm doing all that for you. So I will put pictures online to kind of inspire you and motivate you to move along. So this was a recent project we did. I bought it from a wholesaler in this group. The wholesaler made some great money on it too. We bought it for $39,000 in St. Pell City. 25 Snoopy Lane, yeah, that's the real thing. Charlie Brown Lane's right around the corner from it. Yeah, what's that? Oh yeah, but Dan knows it. There was like trees growing in the house. Like when you walk through like a jungle in the house, like one of those Jumanji houses. But I think the wholesaler made, you know, $7 or $8 grand on it just by giving it to me. So it was a great for everybody. It cost a fortune to build it. It had been abandoned so long, the water company had no record of anyone ever living there. I said, well, there's a water meter in the thing, so we've never had water service here since we've had a public water system. So that's how long it had been empty. So you can imagine the condition of it. It was barely, you really couldn't call it a house, it was an area, like in the woods. So I think there was about $4,000 in bush and tree removal just to be able to see the house again. And you tell people where it is, and they're like, there's no house there. So anyway, the first day on the market, full price offer, just like you guys are seeing, $139,900. It was a great deal. Again, we had commission and closing costs and things in there, but the point is, first day, full price, and it was just, it's easy to sell a house now. It's much harder to buy a house. Here's some numbers I wanted to show you about a market analysis. I did get these from Rob Drum. Rob, I don't know where he went to. He's way in the back. Rob's a great resource to know. He has data and statistics he can pull up from every county and every area. Rob helped me with these. The reason I want to talk about this is price per square foot. Price per square foot to me is a key metric you have to know in order to flip houses. Here's why. If someone tells me every house on this street sold for $200,000, does that mean your house is worth $200,000? Your house may be half as big as those. And I see amateurs make this mistake. Well, everything on that house sold for $200,000, yes, but they had twice as much square footage as the one you're doing. So you get burned because you're not paying attention to price per square foot. And that, to me, there's a lot of numbers. If you do average home prices, that can get skewed a little bit too, because new homes are coming into markets. You may have 20 or 30 new home sales in a market that don't really count into flipping. It's not, they really can't compare those to house flipping. So here's what I wanted to show. I just went back 3 years, 1, 2, 3 years, starting in 2015. And this is price per square foot in St. Clair County. This is not counting waterfront. Waterfront is a whole other ballgame, and we're not counting mobile homes. So this is just single family homes. And what I want to show you is, we're going to stay over here on the high side. This is the middle range, 80 to 109. We're going to stay on the right side of this because a house flip normally will sell at the higher end because it's fully renovated. So in 2015, we're at $109 a square foot. Now we're at $125 a square foot just 3 years later. So 109 to 125, that's 14.5% in St. Clair County, which is one of the most rural counties around. It's not a lot of development going on. But what that means in real numbers to you and I, a 1,400 square foot house in St. Clair County is up $22,000 just from 3 years ago. That's where the squeeze on the market's coming in, because you think, well, house flippers are making $22,000 more dollars. No. You're paying this much more per house, but you're also being able to sell it that much more. So the reason I wanted to mention that is a price per square foot. Price per square foot to me is what I personally use because it's much more reliable to know a home's value than instead of just average price for a neighborhood. So a lot of you guys raised your hand when you came to our 3-day seminar. I just wanted to talk about this just for a minute because we are getting ready to do another one. This price per square foot gives you one of the 4 numbers we talked about there you have to know in order to buy and flip a house. Does anybody here, please, somebody in the room remember something out of this 3-day event? Does anybody remember our 4 key numbers that we talked about to buy and flip a house? Does anybody know what the top number is at the top? Anybody? They're not getting it. We're going to have to redo the whole 3-day seminar. The first one, I'll give you the first one, we'll start from there. The first one at the top of the list was your after repair value, right? That's where you started at. And then you guys remember we subtract all things as we go. I'm beginning to think you guys didn't come to the 3 days. Man, we spent 4 hours on this. I was like, was anybody there? I think they were asleep. After repair value, that's your price per square foot. That's the number we told you got to have to start the whole process. After repair. So what next? Anybody remember what you subtract off this?
Purchase price.
Purchase price. Well, we're trying to get to purchase price. We're trying to get to what are we going to pay for the house? Okay, repair cost is one. Here's one everybody skips. So the first thing you subtract from your repair value is this right here, the first thing. Because closing costs are calculated on retail value. $150,000 sale price, you have commissions, closing costs. A lot of times in our market, we have to pay our buyer's closing costs, which is 3 or 4%. So add it up, 6% realtor commissions, 3% you need to go ahead and budget to pay your buyer's mortgage costs, and then 1% goes to your title and attorney costs. That's 10% off the top. $150,000 house, now you've subtracted 15 before you even started this. So everybody skips this one. And I'm disappointed in our students here because I harped on this. I put my heart into that. You guys didn't hear it. Then you subtract your rehab costs, which we're going to have a speaker in a couple of months talk about that. And then you subtract out, here's the number all the realtors leave out. You also have to subtract out what you want to make from the house, right? Because a lot of people say, Well, if you talk to realtors, it's worth $150,000. It needs $50,000 in rehab, so we'll sell it for $100,000. That's how most average people think about it. Well, there has to be profit. And then when you show it to them on paper, they're like, oh, well, there is no profit. So all of this, you start with what it's worth, what's your closing costs, rehab costs, minimum profit, what are we trying to get to? Your offer, your purchase price, right? And then you want to make your first offer even less than that so that you can come up slowly. And what you're going to almost always work out to, this bottom down here is going to be about half of what it is up there almost every time. If it's worth $150,000, you're going to be buying it 70, 75, 80, somewhere in there. That's it. Brian, I only had 15 minutes, so I just tried to squeeze in as much as we could, but I will finish this, and we're going to review this at our next 3-day event. I encourage all of our last students to come back because you didn't get it last time.